Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. This is episode 149 and of about 139 of those probably I've been joined by my partner in crime who's joining me again today. It's Matt.
Only one thing to say, mate, isn't there?
What's that?
Welcome to the family, Antonio.
Hey, welcome to the family. Hey, do you ever see a stupid film of Hugh Grant called Mickey Blue Eyes?
I know the film, but I haven't watched it.
It is a stupid, right, Hugh Grant being Englishman, talks over plum in his mouth, goes off and he's in New Jersey, New York, and he falls in love with the daughter of like a mafia family. And so they all talk like, hey, whoa, hey, like the whole way through. It's just a parody. It's very funny. But anyway, because he's got blue eyes, they call him Mickey Blue Eyes. Hey, it's Mickey Blue, like that. And anytime like people are doing that kind of silly Italian kind of like, whoa, hey, I always think of that. It's so stupid.
Do you know what though? He's just, I know we're going to completely going off a topic, but I watched something the other week with Hugh Grant in it, and he played this like really scary character. I forget who it was. I think, yeah, it was in a film, and he actually played a.
You're not talking about Paddington 2, are you?
No.
Oh, okay, all right, go on.
I think he even played like a killer. Do you know what?
Oh, wow.
Afterwards, mate, I'll find out and I'll text you.
No,
But he was like
I've only ever seen him basically play the same character in everything. So if there is something out there of him doing something different, I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah, he was like a real Cockney character as well, like quite scary. And he's like, that's not the Hugh Grant I know.
Well, that'll be fun to watch, actually.
There you go,
all right, yeah.
I'll find it for you. Anyway,
hi. Yeah, it's the Spurs News Podcast, not Sam and Matt's film review, which is out next week. Yeah, so as the elongated intro possibly suggested with the Godfather waltz, by the way, man, that was stupid. I knew exactly what I wanted to put on for that. I was like, oh, that'd be funny. It's not the Godfather theme. Like, the actual theme to the film is completely different. It's literally called the Godfather Waltz. Do you think I could work that out yesterday? I was sort of like in between doing things. I just couldn't find it. I'm like, I know this piece of music. Have I imagined it all these years? What the hell? But anyway, I found it in the end. Before we go on to welcoming Antonio, I think it's a good idea to sort of talk about the Nuno era. Kind of like we'll address that and then we can move on like the club's moving on. Mate, me and you were both kind of, wasn't the one we wanted. Seems a good coach, seems a good guy. Let's get behind him. I think, I don't know, I think it happened at different points for us, but both of us reached the same conclusion, which is this is just not working.
Mm-hmm.
When did you hit the wall? I know the Man United. I know me and you talked a bit about that, and I know you can probably explain your feelings on that now. But when did you hit the point where it was this clearly isn't going to work?
Yeah, it was the Man United game for me.
Oh, okay, all right. So it was that recent? Okay, so you and Daniel Levy on the same day?
Yeah, I look. I've said in past podcasts that people are calling for him to be sacked.
Yeah.
And I said, didn't I, that it's too early. Give the guy a chance. Give him till Christmas. Give the guy till Christmas. If by Christmas it's not working, then by all means, let's look at changing it around. But I think the Man United game. So it's a funny one because you and I talk all the time about the very kind of extreme reactionary emotions of people we see on our Facebook page. Yeah. And it's not just our Facebook page, mate, is it? It's like, I'm sure
social media.
Yeah, social media in general, and there's a lot of anger. You can almost sense the you can tangibly see the anger in people. I didn't come away from that game, that Man United game, feeling angry. I didn't. I genuinely didn't. I kind of came out and like me and Seb thankfully missed the Rashford goal. I mean, Seb had had enough by then. He was like, "Dave, can we just go?" So I think we went about the 80th minute, and part of the reason why we went early as well was because there was about 8 trains cancelled from White Hart Lane. So we're like,
yeah, no, I did see that. Actually,
yeah. So it's a 25-minute walk to Seven Sisters, and the last time we did that walk to Seven Sisters was the Man City game, and this is going to sound really really ridiculous, but what absolutely done my nutting, because we obviously stayed to the end with the Man City game, and they herd you into a queue onto the train station, but stupidly that the queue is just like, so basically if you can imagine, it's a really wide pavement on the walk to Seven Sisters, because it's in London, so it's like a big street. They herd you in, we would queue for about an hour, and there's all these people whizzing past us to the left, and we're like, clearly they're not going to Seven Sisters. As you get closer to the front, you're like, these people just jump in the queue, and it was so infuriating. So part of my motivation to leave early, not just the fact we was getting walloped, was that I just don't want to be caught up in that
Stuck
again.
In that,
But we're walking away, and obviously there's lots of other fans that are walking away at the same time.
I was going to say, I was watching it, and it appeared about, I don't know what minute it was about the 81st or the 82nd, and it was almost like a collective went, fuck this.
Let's just get out of here. But there was no kind of I don't know if it is because it's different, the people you see on social media compared to the people who go to the games, all the time. Because I tend to bump into season ticket holders quite a lot as well, because the vast majority of the people who go there are season ticket holders. But I was talking to this one guy, and he was just saying he's just completely and utterly out of his depth, and I'm like, yeah, it's obvious, isn't it? And the weird thing was that the key moment, I think, that's going to define him getting sacked was him substituting Lucas Moura.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up with you because I know you were there, but because to me it feels like it might be a combination, because if we rewind a little bit to the Burnley game, which was midweek, the Burnley game, we actually had a really good following go to that game, which, by the way, just as a side note, always makes me feel ridiculously proud. Because it's Burnley, it's a Wednesday night, work day, and we got a couple of thousand fans there in the corner freezing their asses off. When, let's face it, we've not been good.
No.
So
no.
I'm always like, well done, because if it was me, I wouldn't be going, Anyway, so they were chanting, I don't know if you've seen this at all, but it's 0-0, it's the second half, and our away fans started chanting, Nuno, make a sub. Nuno, make a sub.
Yeah.
And it was loud, like you heard it. And, mate, within 3 minutes, he made a substitution. And he could have had it planned. He could have been doing it anyway. But it looked like a genuine reaction to the fans shouting at him. We then scored a few minutes later after the substitute was made, and we won the game. Now, bring it forward to the Man United game, fans in the stadium, that massive 17 and a bit thousand stand, full of pretty passionate Tottenham fans. Lucas Moura, statistically, by the way, Opta stats, the best player on the pitch. Like, not just for Tottenham, he was the best player on the pitch for everything he'd done. And he substituted him for Bergwijn, a straight swap, not a tactical switch, not an injury or anything like that. He made that change, which still I'm baffled by. And the noise, like over the TV, I have never heard a substitution greeted like that. How was it there? I mean, there must have been a lot of people just shouting.
Yeah, I mean, me and Seb sit in the south stand, didn't we? And it felt nasty. What it felt like? Occasionally, very very occasionally. I mean, I can't even count on one hand the amount of times I've seen it, but you'll spot some idiot away fan sitting in the home stand, and you feel that kind of that tension and nastiness almost, like, and that's how it felt. What the fuck are you doing? Like, and the only way the only way fans could get across that was to boo, But genuinely, right, I know you're very knowledgeable with football, Sam, so this is why I want to ask your opinion. I know you said you found it baffling, but can you think of any reason why he did it? Is there any thought?
Because I was watching the game, and from being there live at a game, you can see player movement very different than watching on TV. So between us, we should be able to come up with something, like maybe he ran past the bench and shouted wanker, you know. just like anything, just like cannot understand at all, you know. Was he wearing a t-shirt with Nuno out? I don't know. It's just like my brain, I watched that game and he was the only one pressing from the front. He was the only one trying to take the ball on. He was trying everything. And Lucas Moura, for me, is very hit and miss. Like, the guy forever will be loved by me because of so many, you know, for the very obvious reason. But in games, for us, he's very hit and miss. You either get a game where he is on, where he presses, tackles back, beats people every time he gets the ball. It's like the ball stuck to his feet in those games. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's unbelievable. And then you have other games where he just runs down, you know, cul-de-sacs. He just gets himself, and it's like, come on. This against Man United, it was clear he was having one of his days. And if other players around him had better movement or had looked a bit more sharp, he would have created stuff. You could tell he was having that kind of game. Now, I don't know. The only thing, and this is the only thing, is that some sports scientist said Luca's running in the red. You can't play him for longer than 60 minutes today. Do you know what I mean? That's like, it's like a pre-planned thing. Because there's no way you could watch that game and go, I need to make a change. I know. I got it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you say, Sam, it can only be a pre-planned thing because we were. Was it 1-0 down at the time? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2-0 down.
It was 1-0 down.
It was 1-0 down. Like, the last thing you want to do is bring on a guy who's our biggest threat attacking wide and replace him with a player who, don't get me wrong, but Bergwijn's, you know, he's not a terrible player, but he's struggling for form. He's struggling for confidence. Yeah,
best one in the world. He is a confidence player, and over the last year, you can see his confidence is gone. What happens to fix that, I don't know. But it was just a strain, you know. And if he changed him, like if he brought on a defensive midfielder, brought on another defender, like he was going to change the system. Okay, alright, you know, I don't agree with Lucas being the one coming off, but alright, you're trying something different. But it was just a straight swap. The fan reaction was, you know, I'm just watching that like, wow. You know, there's... And the thing is, like, I'm watching I'm thinking, there's no way back from this. Yeah. You know, Wednesday night, when the fans start chanting at you to make a sub, you do it, and then we win the game. The fans walk away from that going, God, we're in charge. And then sorry mate, just finish. And then you come to this game, and at this game you got Daniel Levy, the whole board, Paratici, everyone. They're in the stands. We're not playing well, and then the fans again are like, rampant about that substitution. And then the chant of "you don't know what you're doing." I mean, I don't know how long that lasted, but it was clear. Like, you could hear it.
Yeah,
like, really clear.
Of course. And I was gonna say, and this is like no disrespect to any Spurs fan out there at all, but you know, these guys, that's a vast majority of these guys that sit in the South Stand. I know a few that sit in the South Stand. Yeah. These guys are fans that have been going for years and years and years. Yeah. You know, like I got a mate Andy who listens sometimes, and he's been in a season ticket for like 20 odd years. You know, and he's got all his mates around him that have been around.
He has endured it, yes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is they you know, when these guys saw what happened, to be honest with you, like I was a bit surprised. Like, I was surprised when it happened. I'm like, hang on, I think they're taking more off. Like, and before I'd even realised what was going on, I was hearing a lot of booing around me, and it was, if I'm honest, it was a bit like, because I'm a kind of a bit of a newbie, I guess. Like, I've only been a season ticket holder for like 4 or 5 years, you know. Yeah. And it really sort of it shocked me, you know, like that the level of anger. And if I'm honest, like I said when I originally was making the point, I think that was the moment. I think that was the moment that signed his P45 letter.
Well,
I think
a couple of people said when the second goal went in for Man United, so that was after this, Paratici got up and walked. Yeah. And I think if you're going to look at moments, you know, you're going to talk about in this game the decision was made. It felt like, you know, that was it, done. Behind the scenes, there's talk that the minute the board walked out with Daniel Levy, Paratici was there and was just like, we gotta make a change.
Yeah, it's weird because look, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that Nuno, is in the same kind of categories. He's nowhere near the same category as Conte. I mean, Conte's won titles
No,
everywhere,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
but he's still not like, it's not like we plucked him from League Two. Do you know what I mean? Like
It's exactly.
it's
It's not like some kid sent his CV in and got given a shot.
yeah, it's weird because like he's had plenty of experience in the Premier League. He done really well with Wolves. Like I said, he was. I've said this before, and I said this to you in the chat as well, that he was absolutely adored by the Wolves fans. It's all, like the potential was there, and I don't know. And it's, do you know what? If you could kind of like, if you went to a dictionary and looked at the word sliding doors moment, I think you could put that Man United game in a sliding doors moment, because like. The thing is with a sliding doors moment is you only know the outcome of what's happening in your reality, so we don't know what would have happened if we would have beaten Man United 2-0.
Then I think
Then
it's
Solskjaer
Nuno
could have
at
got
Old
sacked.
Trafford. Yeah.
Conte could be could be an old Man United manager now. We've still got Nuno. You never know. He might we might have gone on to win the league in a cup, but it feels like it was.
I think we all know that wouldn't have happened.
But I'm just saying that, like, like I've always said, he needed time, and you don't know. I mean, like, in the time that he was with us, I mean, 10 Premier League games? This is a weird one, and I think you sent a stat to me. He got more points in his first 10 games than Pochettino got in his first 10 games. Was it you that told me that?
No, that's not me. The only stat I saw is that he's the first manager since Christian Gross to be in the basically 1-5, lost 5.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, so Pochettino got 14. So in that first season, remember when we beat West Ham 1-0? Pochettino had 14 points after his first 10 games. Nuno had 15 points after his first 10 games. So he actually had more points. But it was just.
Don't get me wrong. I'm like you. I was trying to kind of, there's got to be a time element here. There has to be, because the Pochettino thing is the perfect example. When Pochettino came in, we weren't good, from day one. It wasn't like an immediate bounce, and it did take time. The one big difference for me, and I said this last week when I was talking to Stefan, is when Pochettino was there and we weren't winning, we were losing, I could see what he wanted us to do. Like, I could see a clear game plan, I could see tactics, a way of trying to play, and it felt like, okay, if he could change a few of these players to players that play this way, we could be alright. Lo and behold, they did that, and, we all know what happened next. Now, with Nuno, I just kept looking at it going, I don't see it. I don't see what we're trying to do. I don't see a plan. There doesn't appear to be any kind of attacking cohesion at all, which is really worrying when you look at the talent there, the attack talent at the club. And that's the difference for me. But the points thing, again, is valid. It's just, to me, it's like we look directionless. And I wanted to put it to you, if you don't mind me just hijacking this. Do you think that, obviously at Wolves, Nuno had the chance to build that team. They were in the Championship, or maybe they were even in League One when he came in. I can't remember. But he built that squad, from the scratch. And he had the opportunity, without really any pressure on him, to do all of that and move forward. And then at Tottenham, he came in, and there's expectation. You come in at the Tottenham job now with the stadium, everything, Harry Kane up front, Son Heung-min, all this. You are expected to hit the ground running, and a 50-50 win-loss ratio in the Premier League, and 4 of those defeats in London derbies with an aggregate defeat of 10-1, not managing a shot on target in 1.5 games, you're going to lose your job. It doesn't matter. You could be anybody. I think you're just going to go. It's like the expectation differences. And, you're coming into a club where there is a squad there. Like, he had all the time in the world just to build Wolves. At Spurs, here's your squad. You have to get the best out of it. So the thing I wanted to put to you is, I think Nuno, from day one, felt like he was on borrowed time.
Okay.
And I think he took the job thinking, this is, great opportunity. It's good money. I can potentially do something, with this club, and I can potentially do something with the team. However, all the reports now show, for example, he was given the little office in the office suites. So Mauricio Pochettino, Jose Mourinho had the big office. Paratici's now taken that. So he was moved to like this small office. It kind of feels to me anyway, and this is just reading between the lines, it feels like Paratici and Daniel Levy failed to get their number one targets in the summer. Paratici's number one target was Conte. Daniel Levy obviously wanted to bring Mauricio Pochettino back. They weren't able to do that, and it feels like everybody collectively settled, and it was like a kind of stopgap. Do you know what I mean? It's just how it feels to me now, like looking at it. It feels like, and everybody knew. And because everybody knew, the squad just haven't responded to him. Like, if they come in and went, right, here's Nuno, he's got a 5-year contract, it's going to be a complete rebuild, we've sold Kane, we're reinvesting that money, I think the squad would have been like, oh crap, he's got a 5-year contract, bloody hell, right, okay, we better listen to him or we're next out the door. But they didn't. They handed him a 1 year with an extra 1 year and maybe another year. So to basically limit the amount you'd have to pay him when they knew they were going to fire him. And I always think back to that famously Aaron Lennon saying to Pochettino in training, I was here before you, mate, and I'll be here after you. I ain't doing a double session. I mean, that didn't work out for him.
No, how did that work out for you?
but you can almost feel it now. Like, you can almost see like the players like, you want us to do what? Nah, you're right. We'll have someone else here in a couple of weeks. How long's your contract? Yeah, mine's 3 years. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's happened, but you could almost feel it. And you look at the way the team's played. You look at Nuno's demeanour over 10 games. Like fairly approachable. Looks a nice guy. Looks like everyone's favourite granddad with the beard. And up to the Man United game where he just stood there and looked lost, emotional, like, what am I doing here? Just, I'm asking these guys to do this and they're just looking at me blankly. I mean, there's obviously going to be lots of stories come out. If you read the Athletic article about the training sessions and stuff, you've got to kind of look at that and just go, wow, I really hope that's not true. So yeah, it's weird. But the Nuno era started with that great win over Man City, ended with a hammering at Man United. I think it'd be summed up as failed experiment for me.
Isn't it a funny one how he won Premier League Manager of the Month in August?
Oh mate, that's hilarious, isn't it? Do you know, like, for years people have joked about that being a poisoned chalice. Can you give a more extreme example of how that is like? Because I think he won that, and then our next 3 games we lost 3-0. Like 3-0, 3-0, 3-1.
That's right, against Arsenal. Yeah. Do you know? Yeah. So I'll give myself an opportunity to answer. You put to me.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So I think if you look at Wolves, so that they I think they were in Championship. I don't think they were in League One. I think they were in the Championship. But there was, I don't follow Wolves, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I can imagine, just looking at it, like you're kind of imagining the situation with him at Spurs, that possibly, although Wolves are a big club, but maybe there wasn't that pressure, that expectation to get us up to the Premier League straight away. Let's see what we're taking you on. It'd be brilliant if you can get us up there, but there's not the expectation there. So he's gone in, he's brought in a lot of Portuguese players. And he's almost made it like Wolves had their Wolves away kit was Portugal's home kit, wasn't it, for a season?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So he's kind of brought in that real mentality of like, this is like we're a family here. We've worked our way up, and he's got the team up to the Premier League, and a lot of players that probably wouldn't have been looked at. I know Traore's fee is ridiculous, but he's got a lot of players that. That at the time weren't going anywhere else. So, he could build, and these were relatively unknown to a lot of us guys in the sports in the Premier League, unknown players, Yeah. So whereas with this situation with Spurs, he's come in and, like you said, he's been given like a very, very short-term contract. it's a completely different scenario, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's like you've got a lot of players that were playing that played in the Champions League final. You know that they've kind of they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of like, you know, they're big, they're not just bigger players, aren't they, than at
Yeah.
Wolves, you know? And there's a lot more egos in there and a lot more kind of, you know, it's like I say, like I said earlier, he's not a manager we're plucked from some non-league club or anything, so he's got experience, but it just become so patently obvious, and it was for, I guess, for a while, but the Man United game was when it hit us all home that the
Yeah.
guy's just out of his depth. He's just completely out of his depth. And I know I was talking about, you know, the sliding doors and if he'd have stayed. The reason why I said that, you know, you never know, because you never know. I mean, like
It's true.
the
Yeah, you
chances
don't
are
know.
that it wouldn't have worked, but you know, you do never know. You know, you like Kane might have just gone on this purple patch run, and we might have won the next 15, 20 games. It's very unlikely. I know, very, very unlikely.
Yeah.
But I just feel like um, it just had to happen. It had to happen. There was like, you know, regardless of what happens in the future, if we kept him, if we'd have beaten Man United, it was just this. He's gone. He's done. And like the Lucas Moura substitution. You know, I know people say a lot about this, and it really frustrates me when they say it. But you know, they say he stands there and he licks his lips, and you kind of just
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
picture him just
I know.
standing there looking just out of his depth, and he's just like
Puzzled. Yeah.
puzzled, and he's like, just let's put the guy out of his misery, you know.
Yeah, and we did. Daniel Levy got his favourite firing jacket out again, and off he went. Different podcast, different time. We're going to discuss the sheer amount of managers Daniel Levy's gone through, but well, it is now time to talk about the new era at Tottenham, and that is the welcome Antonio Conte.
Unreal, mate, isn't it? Absolutely
It's
unreal.
bizarre. It is bizarre.
Do you know what sums it up? You've got a player who like it epitomizes the hate towards us in Cesc
Yeah.
Fabregas, and even he had
Yes.
to go on Twitter and say, "What a signing!"
Yeah, and it's one of those things where in the summer we obviously as a club spoke to him, and there was a lot of press written about, you know, why that didn't work out. There's a little bit of reworking the narrative now he's signed with us, which I mean, that's obviously going to happen, you know, a bit of PR. But the reality is, in the summer, and it came from enough people that you know there's credibility to this, he basically said, I want to win things as a manager, and my fear is at Tottenham is you don't actually have the ambition that you say you do, but to do that you need to invest, and this is what I'm talking about. He like really took a good look at it, and they came back with, no, we got an amazing squad, it just needs the right coach. And he then walked away from that. Now he's now said in interviews now since joining us, he was just not emotionally ready because, you know, he was still in the whole Inter thing. So it was just like, you know what, I need to take a break. I'm not ready. So you can kind of see, I think, some truth to that. You can imagine it like someone's trying to negotiate with you, and you're like, look, I've looked at the squad. Yeah, you know, the stadium, everything. It'd be a great opportunity for me, but I think you're going to need to invest more than you think, and this is what you need to do. They come back and go, oh, well, actually, you know, we got this youth player. You know, if you are not feeling it 100%, you're right to kind of go, do you know what, it's not for me.
Yeah, sure.
And almost, you can almost sort of think to yourself that maybe it's worked for the best. I mean, obviously it's not so great for us fans because we're so far into the season and it's not been fun to watch. But from a Tottenham and a Conte point of view, if he wasn't mentally ready in the summer and is now, and we weren't thinking the squad needed massive investment, anyone with eyes, you know, Stevie Wonder knows now that we need to invest. Perhaps it being illustrated so well over 10 Premier League games is actually going to end up being a good thing. I mean, you can never tell with us because, you know, there was reports the day Conte signed with us, that he's going to get, you know, a war chest in January. He's going to be able to spend money. and that has already been massaged lovely by the Tottenham PR through the press too. Of course, certain players will have to be sold first. It's like, yeah, there we go. yeah, of course you can have 100 million, provided we sell Dele and Harry Winks for that amount. But yeah, it's mad. But mate, I just purely on the positives, he's a manager. Initially, when we were linked with in the summer, I was like, I really don't think it's a good idea. His style of football, I don't think's that great for us. And he's ex-Chelsea again. You know, when are we going to stop hiring ex-Chelsea managers? I think it might have been you, or someone definitely said it to me, which is if we didn't consider ex-Chelsea managers, we'd soon run out of managers because they go through them like 2 a season.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, fair enough. But it's funny again because of the Nuno thing and the way I've watched us. To say that I'm on board, I mean, I'm close to getting the Italian flag tattooed on my arm. You know, I am on board 100%. It's like, to me, it's like anything has to be an improvement on what we've watched for the last 2 years, surely.
Yeah, look, if you look at this guy, I mean, I don't know the stats offhand, but I think in something like 9 years of managing, or something like 9 or 10 years, he's won the league title in 7 of those years with whoever he's managed.
Yeah.
Like, and people will make the Jose Mourinho comparison, like obviously with the ex-Chelsea and like the fact with, you know, Mourinho I'd like to say was an amazing manager. I think he's kind of past his sell-by date a little bit now. And I think the proof's in the fact he's a Roma manager and not a Real Madrid manager or Barcelona manager, you know. But
Agreed.
I think with Conte, we've got a manager here that's in his prime. Now, there is genuinely, I think he would be coveted by every club in the world. Do you not think? Is there any?
No, I agree.
Like,
no, I completely agree.
We've got a world-class manager here.
I'm amazed I'm like so still in shock even that he's joined us. You know, it's kind of like because he was odds on for the Man United job. You know, Ollie's going to get sacked. They're going to bring in Conte, but every big job in Europe, every manager at those clubs have obviously felt his presence since the start of the season because he's out of work. So every board of every club, you know, top club, I'm talking about Real Madrid, Barcelona, all of these clubs, I've just got, you know, he's there. He's like a looming shadow. And I do wonder as well with the Man United uncertainty, although they beat us and gave Ollie, you know, a stay. I do wonder if that played a little part in them going for it when they did. Like a few other clubs are getting itchy trigger fingers. You know, Barcelona have just made a change, but they've got no money, so obviously their change was kind of going from one to another. I just wonder if that played a part, you know, because if Man United, you know, if that game had ended in a draw, for example, or something, and Man United had just gone, no, that's not good enough, and we'd have had to have competed with them to get him. I don't know. It just felt like a kind of, do you know what? Let's make the decision now. He's available. I've rung, you know, Paratici, like, I've rung him. He's on board.
Yeah.
You know, let's do the deal.
But you look. I've seen so many stats. I mean, you look at like when he took over at Chelsea. Was it Hazard and I'm struggling to think of the other player, but they'd scored like 4 and 12 goals respectively, and then the next season he's taken over, they've scored like 16 and 24 or something. Like, you know, this guy improves players, doesn't he?
And the funny thing is, he came into Chelsea after Mourinho. You know, Mourinho, second term at Chelsea, he won the league and then he destroyed it. Like, the squad hated him. That they were playing crap. They were like mid-table at best. I think they were like in the bottom half.
Yeah,
of the
they
league
were
when Jose got sacked.
Yeah, they were.
And then Conte was the next full-time manager they appointed, and he won the league straight away with the same squad. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do that with us, but what I'm saying is he has actually got experience of walking into a dressing room that has been Jose'd.
Yeah, completely. No, exactly. And you look as well. Look, I know there's a thing about the ward, like you're saying about the ward chest and how we've got to spend a lot of money. But you look at Chelsea now under Tuchel. Now I know he's bought players, but he's got a lot of players that Lampard had. And look at the difference.
Yeah.
Look at the difference in that and how they're playing.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but Chelsea have got things right at the moment. They've got a really good coach who I've always rated. They managed to bring through a fantastic crop of academy players who have now perfectly supplemented the signings they've got at the club. It's so aggravating because I look at them and the way they play, and I just think, yeah, they've really hit the nail on the head. Now, don't get me wrong, it's Chelsea, so I fully expect them to ball something up in the next season, and Tuchel will get fired, and they'll hire someone else, and they'll go through another cycle. But still, it frustrates the hell out of me how right they've got it at the moment. And what makes it worse is it almost feels like that season they had a transfer ban is the reason they've got it right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like the punishment has ended up being the making of them. Anyway, let's not talk about them bastards.
But we've made a good decision in getting Conte, so we've set the ball rolling. Hopefully, with good decisions.
It's a massively good decision. And it's his first game today. You know, as we record this, it's Thursday, the 4th of November. Remember the 4th of November for all Spurs fans. We played Vitesse Arnhem at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I nearly said White Hart Lane then. That was a blast from the past. At the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tonight, kick-off 8 o'clock. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's either before or after that game. He is going to be in the bench. It is going to be his first game in charge. I hope everyone's expectations are, he's not even taken a training session yet. So officially he's not, because he didn't have a work permit.
He just watched.
Did you see all the pictures of him basically just stood there? And it's like the way they've written it. Here's Conte watching training. Here's Conte talking to people to get to know them, not in any way. Yeah, I mean, I did see a lot of Tottenham fans as well, which made me laugh, like saying, don't let Pretty Patel see this and stuff like that, which cracked me up. But yeah, apparently it's all come through, all the paperwork. He'll be in the dugout tonight. So this will be his first game in charge. It's going to be interesting. You know, this is the first time in a long time I'm really looking forward to watching the game, because it's going to be interesting to see how the players react. It's going to be interesting to see what team he picks for a start, because, I mean, he's known them for all of the day. But yeah, it's like, it's going to be interesting because immediately, there's two things, right? One, there has not been one social media post from any of these players saying goodbye to Nuno, thank you, or anything.
No.
That's kind of telling, isn't it? And two, everything in the press, and I mean, and you know when this has come from players and their agents, right? Everything is, wow, we got Conte. Like, we are over the moon. Hugo Lloris did a press conference yesterday with Paratici. Let me just say again as well, other than the very public mistake he made, drink driving, which is done, it's been addressed, he's paid for, that guy's been an exemplary captain for us. You know, with the way he speaks and everything. I can't get over the press conference yesterday and the way he spoke. It made me feel proud. Do you know what I mean?
It's really weird, isn't it? Because I had the same feeling as well listening to him, and I was thinking how articulate he is, and obviously he's highly intelligent. He's the captain, isn't he? So he's not going to be an idiot. But isn't it funny that if Nuno was still in charge and he did that same press conference, it wouldn't. It's almost like the Conte effect has struck us immediately, hasn't it? And it's affecting. It's more positive, and it's affecting everything. Even when he's not been interviewed, when someone else in the team's been interviewed, that the effect, you're feeling the effect. You know, everything sounds more positive. Everything's kind of giving us a lift. You know, whereas before it's bizarre, isn't it? It feels like you know, Levy's probably made, for every one good decision he makes, he probably makes about 50 bad decisions. But this is one, it feels like, and you never know what could happen, but I'm pretty sure right now it feels like one of the best decisions he's made as chairman.
It's got to be feeling that way right now. I mean, the proof's going to be in the pudding. It's going to be in the results. But right now, I have not felt this good about things with Tottenham since our Champions League run under Pochettino.
Do you know what's interesting?
And it's weird.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is really interesting sort of chain of thought I went through, because I appreciate that we could put on Facebook, every follower, give us your name and address, and we'll send you £1 million, and we'll still get people complain. Like, we'll still get negativity.
Yeah.
But when the Conte appointment was announced, I saw someone post, "Oh, we're such a shambles of a club," which really shocked me, because I was like, this is the announcement, and your first thought is to say we're a shambles of a club, and I wonder, possibly because he's thinking, another management, blah blah blah. But when you think, do you remember when Ramos got sacked? So we had so we played 8 games, we had 2 points from 8 games. As opposed to the 15 points from 10 games, which is weird, but I know it's nothing to do with points. I'm fully on board. The reason why, I'm not trying to say he shouldn't have got sacked because we had 15 points. I know, like I say, I completely agree with the decision. It was, the football was awful.
Yeah.
We was getting walloped. But I remember I was at work, and I was on a late shift, so I wasn't finishing until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I remember it popped up, Ramos has been sacked. And then I think it was the same day we got Redknapp.
We did, yeah.
And I was buzzing, and I phoned my dad, and I was like, I think it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, Dad, I'm sorry to phone you so late, but have you seen we got Redknapp? Right? Yeah. We was buzzing. I was buzzing, and I'm hopefully speak for lots of Spurs fans, because probably we was in such a bad place that we're like.
I was just hopeful that we'd now be on. Things would be better. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you fast forward to 2021. We've been in a similar situation again, agreed different points, but in a situation where we've got the manager's got to go. We're all feeling really crappy about the team. I appreciate that Facebook wasn't a thing back in 2008, or if it was, I wasn't part of it. But
MySpace, mate.
MySpace, yeah,
that was where it was at.
There you go, yeah, MySpace. But like, isn't it weird that you've got someone whose immediate thought is we're a shambles after taking on probably one of the top 5 managers in the world, compared to Harry Redknapp.
Person's last name was, Espirito Santo, by any chance?
yeah.
Oh, you sacked me, Dad!
Yeah. Oh God, it'll be on Sky Sports when he like Jamie. But
there you go.
But I think is it a testament of where we are now, that you've got people upset that we've taken on a manager that's probably in the top 5 managers in the world, yet. Go back to 2008, we was all, say me, but I presume a lot of us were really happy to have Harry Redknapp take over,
It's a case of, I think there is a lot of anger at the club. I think we've touched on it a few times in podcasts, and that anger doesn't go away in one thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Like, if Conte's in for the rest of the season, and let's say, wow, Fantasyland, we pick up a trophy, and we play very good. We just develop a style. We play well, and we hold our own in the league. I'm not saying top 4 or anything like that. I'm just saying, but at the end of the season, every Spurs fan feels like it's been a success. That will start to fade. Do you know what I mean? It's like when Pochettino came in, I remember the reaction, because we had the Facebook page then, and I remember the reaction of, he's come from Southampton, he's out of his depth, all of that stuff. And and it's funny because there's a lot of people who wrote those comments still comment on the page to this day.
Sure.
And I've got a freaking hell of a memory. I genuinely have. And when it comes to stuff like that, I laugh on a fairly regular basis at these people, and I'm like, you're going through the same cycle. It's like you're going through, because they then became like the biggest Pochettino fans in the world, and then when we sacked him, it was like the devastation. And I don't get me wrong, I felt it, but and then they were like Jose out from week 1, and then they were Nuno out from day 1, and now Conte's come in. It's not so much. I don't. Like you said about we could offer everyone £1 million and still someone would moan. I think that's how it is with the club at the moment. I think the club could literally go, right, here's Conte. ENIC have given us £1 billion just to spend on players. They've said, screw it, have fun. They've paid off the debts, all the stadiums, so all the money we come in now goes straight into the football. Let's go for it. Let's try and win stuff. And there would still be fans going, whatever. Yeah. And it's because of the mistrust. It's because of the experience. And it's true, because I've said it to you as well, which is, I am ridiculously enthusiastic about where we are right now, but there is a big part of me going, calm down.
Yeah, sure.
We've been here before, Sam. We've chilled off. Work out. And that's the problem. Until until we actually get to experience that level, that that kind of release, and we get to feel proud of our team again, there's still going to be that anger. There's still going to be, and don't get me wrong, I've said this to you before, and me and you both know it's true. We could literally win the Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League in the same season, and there would still be fans on our page moaning about something.
Oh, completely, yeah.
So you are never going to please all the people.
You know
all
what,
the
B?
time.
Because we've still got the AIA red on the shirt.
Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah, that'd be it. Yeah. Oh, it would have been better lifting all those trophies if we didn't have red on us. That's it. This person dies, and the murder's going to be just. But mate, it is time, if you're happy, to head across to the fan questions from our Instagram and Facebook page.
Let's go, mate.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
We are going to start with Instagram, because there's 3 on there, whereas Facebook there's a lot more. Instagram, Jake Bennett 17 says, first of all, hope you're both well. Thank you. Yes, doing okay. What are your take on the club's handling of the appointment sacking of Nuno? Although both results and performances have been poor, I felt for Nuno. With everything going on with the manager hunt in the summer, etc., everyone around the club knew Nuno wasn't the top choice, and I don't think the players ever got behind him. Secondly, do you think Conte can have any success with us? I fear our problems might be too deep-rooted and higher up. Sorry for the pessimistic question. I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how we set up under Conte. Look after yourselves, lads. I think we've actually kind of already answered this, Jake. I hope we have. Anyway, I think we've already kind of discussed at length the Nuno thing and our feelings on it. And funnily enough, we've basically just said the same thing as you have then about Conte. Like, we're really enthusiastic, but there's that little nagging Tottenham voice going, sure. Just chill. Don't get too carried away. Hopefully we have, Jake. Diasporian1 says, obviously on a high after the news of Conte signing, after being very, very low after the loss to United. Thanks, Ollie. Question, do you believe Skip will have a place in the starting 11 going forward? A lot of people are asking that, and it surprised me. Have I missed something with Antonio Conte where he hates defensive midfielders?
I think a lot of people are sort of speculating as to the formation he's going to play, and he likes the 3 at the back with the 2 wing backs, isn't he? And I think that might mean that it's either going to be Højbjerg or Skip, and I guess Højbjerg would win that, I guess, or.
Well, not for me, but
no.
Yeah, no one replaces Skip. But to be honest with you, even if that's the case, that ain't a bad thing. You know, we play 40, 50 games in a season across all these competitions. Them 2 rotating ain't a bad thing.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, yeah, I've just seen it a lot, and I'm like, really? Why would anyone in their right mind even consider letting Skip go?
I don't want to beat this guy up because I think he's fantastic, but he was at fault for the second goal, wasn't he, on Sunday? I know it's only one mistake, but I was like, Ollie, man.
I think you will find it was the pass to him that led to that.
You won't have it, Sam, will you?
I will not have anything. There was a bobble on the pitch. The sun was in his eyes, and no, he was fine. He did nothing wrong. Everyone shut up. Finally, from Instagram, we have a question from the man who has his own theme. It's the Mountain Man.
He's a man, such a man, such a man. He's a real man's man.
Do you ever start something and wish you hadn't?
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? The guy deserves his theme tune. He deserves it.
No, he does. I now get emails from people going, what have I got to do to get my own theme?
You got to have a cool name.
You got to have a cool name on Instagram.
Like something like Diaz Philip 111333. You're never going to get a theme tune.
Yeah,
but
you're not going to get a theme tune. But if you're the Mountain Man or Island Brother or something like that, you will get something. See, this is just opening up problems. I can almost feel some of our listeners going, right, you bastard, I'll have you. So, the Mountain Man says, will Conte stop Harry Kane from taking free kicks? Will somebody please stop Harry Kane from taking free kicks? Also, who will be clearing their locker out come January? The Harry Kane free kicks thing's hilarious.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Because, like, do you know what? Funny enough, we was talking. It wasn't the Man United game. What was the last one? Villa 2-1, and I think he took a free kick. And everyone, and again, this is, I'm happy to take opinions of people I sit around in the South Stand. They're like, why is this guy taking free kick?
No,
I
don't get it.
Like, think of a time he scored a free kick, and the only one I can think of was that one, funny enough, against Villa, which took a huge deflection.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't get it. It's bizarre. It's like in training, he drills them in from 30 odd yards, free kicks every day, and everyone's like, wow, he's the best free kick taker at the club. And then you get the game time, and it just hits the wall.
Do you know, talking about Harry Kane, though, and taking free kicks and being outside the box, I did read somewhere that they think that Conte is going to have him where he should be in the box. And I think that's going to be quite...
that all stems from an interview with Conte talking about Tottenham. He was doing analysis on a game we were playing, and he basically, under Jose... And he basically said for him, he's like, Harry Kane's the best striker in the world. So although he has the ability to link play and do all these other things, you want him in the box and you want to set your team up to give him chances. He said, because if you give him chances, he'll score. It's like, it's not even... Because he said about Lewandowski, he said, these are guys that are just clinical. So you set your team to create for them because they will score your goals. So because of that interview, people are very much thinking, it's like, Harry, here's the box. But, never leave it.
but don't you think, though, like, that it makes sense? Does it just make sense?
Oh, don't get me wrong, mate. Of course it does, yeah. But then at the same time, and I will say this, the way Tottenham set up under Jose was this counter-attacking style. Harry dropping deep and Son running beyond really worked.
Yeah.
Until everyone in the league worked out, yeah, exactly. And then Jose just kept trying it. Yeah, but anyway. The Mountain Man, who's going to be clearing out their locker? If we're going to pick one player each, I'll pick Harry Winks.
Oh, man.
It's sad for me, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for me, mate, I think maybe... Unless he really improves, Lo Celso potentially, because I just don't think he's settled in. I don't think he's.
No, it's a good shout for both of them. To be fair, I like them both, but at the same time, you've got to look at it and go, it ain't working. And what are they bringing to the squad? What are they bringing to the first team? And at the moment, it's very little.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see the players and the differences, though, because I remember a guy called Victor Moses at Chelsea, who, let's face it, was just a waste of a Chelsea squad number. But after Conte got hold of him, he was the most important player in that team for the season.
Yeah, he was, mate.
And then Conte left and he vanished up his own ass again, you know? So you don't know. Like, a coach can have such a difference with players. But anyway, heading over to Facebook, Mark Ivy opens up with, has Joe Lewis finally dipped his hand into his pocket and pulled out some cash to fund the rebuild? I can answer that quite easily.
Yeah, it starts with an N.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. He's currently yacht shopping off Monaco. Do you know what? I'd love that to be a joke, but it's not. Yeah, he his current yacht's not big enough, apparently.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a different world, isn't it? John Coyes Hannam, once again, the greatest middle name for any Tottenham fan. If Conte delivers top 4 performance in the league, i.e. averaging 1.75 points per league game, Jesus, John, you're a stats guy, I can tell. And he wins us a trophy, would it be safe to suggest that Enoch might actually be doing right by Tottenham? If we can go from Ramos relegation performance to Redknapp Champions League performance overnight, surely we can expect a dramatic improvement immediately from Conte.
Conte's a coach, isn't he? He's a proven coach.
Yeah, he is. I do think it's a little bit dangerous to expect it to happen overnight. You know, like literally, like we got a game today and we got games coming thick and fast. He's had He's observed, one training day.
I think figuratively speaking, try saying that. I think he overnight. Yeah, he can. I mean, not literally overnight, but
I do think we should see a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm watching tonight's game genuinely excited to see a difference. You know what I mean? Like a lift, like the players, a few of them smiling. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to see something that shows that the whole place has had the kick at the ass that we the fans have had from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, John, I mean, I'm really kind of hopeful with this, really hopeful. But yeah, I keep saying it. I got that kind of, experience as a Tottenham fan going, chill, dude.
Listen. Two things very quickly. First thing, before I forget, that middle name, Coys. There was a boy. There was with the ball. What are they called? Why is my mind just the guys? The kids that are involved normally come on the pitch. Mascots.
Oh, the mascots.
That's the word I was looking for. The mascots don't come out now. They just, before the game, they basically pop up on the big screens and they give a score prediction and they name their favourite players. And it's normally 11 mascots, like obviously one for each player. And about 9 of the 11 always say Kane and Son, which is fantastic. Yeah. And normally 11 times out of 11 they predict a Spurs win. Although funny enough, one of the mascots at the Man United game predicted a loss, and I think so. They obviously got it right. But one of the mascots was 8, and he was called Lennon, and I'm like, you have blatantly been named after Aaron Lennon. It was just fantastic. But the second thing I was going to say in regards to what you just said about you're tempering your excitement. It's something, a sort of an analogous kind of thing that I've mentioned before, which was when I was watching a game with my little brother. So he's little, he's in his mid-30s now. And
younger.
Yeah, and we was watching the game, and we scored, and I went mental, and he just sort of sat there, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He went, "Well, because it's not the end of the game, is it?" He said, "I'm not going to get excited yet because," and it's like you're missing the point. And I think
you are right.
Yeah,
and I know you're right. And if we score tonight, I'll still be celebrating like a loon.
Embrace it, Sam. Embrace it. Whatever happens. Let's be excited.
I'm trying. I promise. Liam Hickey says, what will Conte change? What is his priority and realistic expectations for the season?
Formation, mentality.
Yeah, I think just having a clear direction of this is how we play and this is what I expect of you appears to be something that was alien to Nuno. Everything that's being written, everything that's coming out, it just seems to be a case of they are... I mean, anyone watch, they're directionless. It's a squad of players who genuinely look like they don't know what they're supposed to do. Now, Pochettino was a coach who worked with individuals and the teams in small groups and then as the 11 to create patterns of play and to create a kind of, right, you are the left back and this is the expectations of you as the left back. You don't go there. You get up and down the pitch, but you do this. You cover here. You do this. If this happens in a game, you should be here. If this happens in a game, you really micromanage almost the coaching level. But it just meant that the players knew exactly in every single scenario what they should be doing. And we all saw the results of that, which, to be honest with you, the results of that are players who possibly don't have the kind of ability on their own looking $1 million,
Yeah, sure.
Talk about just a few players that Pochettino changed. Like Danny Rose before Pochettino was an average Premier League left back at best. He was the best in Europe within a season. Yeah. Kyle Walker was deemed inconsistent and the same as a right back. Arguably still is one of the best right backs in Europe. I'm still blown away by his performances sometime at Man City. All of these players look different. Another example of when he was at Southampton is Sneijderlin. Sneijderlin looked like the best defensive midfielder ever. He left Pochettino and he was lost.
He went to Man U, didn't he?
He went to Man U, then went to Everton.
Yeah.
Never the same player. Never, because he just didn't have that same coaching, and tactical and game awareness because he wasn't sure what to do. Now, it's a criticism you can levy at the modern player that they don't have that. But at the same time, you can go the other way, which is accepting that is the way the modern game is, and you appoint a coach who does that. And then Conte, like Pochettino, will make sure every single player knows every single position they should be in, how they should react to different scenarios, where they should be. He will micromanage it down to the infinite detail, so the players are left in no doubt. There's no stress. There's no kind of, oh no, I don't know what to do. In every scenario, they will know.
Yeah.
And that is what he's going to bring. And that, I hope, will then give that team that confidence in what they're doing, and we'll see better performances.
We've also got you look at some of the players like Royale and Doherty. These are guys that look more comfortable as wing backs. So if he does go for that sort of three at the back with the two wing, you'd feel like you get more out of these players. I mean, like Doherty has never been the same. And the ironic thing is he played as a wing back for Wolves under Nuno. You know.
Yeah, no, I know. I'll tell you something that's quite interesting. Is there's an interview in Italy with Conte. So he accepted the job and he flew to London and he gave an interview before he left. But someone grabbed him, Di Marizzo, in the airport. And he just very quickly, what do you think of Tottenham? What was he? And one of the things he said, I was actually blown away by the signings they made in the summer. He was like, I spoke to them, we talked about different things, different aspects of the team, and then we didn't come together. But he described Romero as probably one of the best defenders in European football right now.
Oh, the guy is good.
And he's like, and Tottenham got him. He's like, they're not in the Champions League or anything like that. He said, but they showed me in that they are more than willing and capable of achieving goals. So it's quite. I find that quite interesting. I find that quite interesting that perhaps he looked at that and went, "Oh wow, okay." The club has A, pulling power, and B, and he worked with Paratici at Juventus for 7 years. So that's they've got an established relationship. So that's quite. It's going to be interesting anyway. Michael Joseph says, curious if you guys think that Levy knows he messed up by not getting this deal done before the season, and do you think Levy will let him spend what he needs to get this team up and running again? Levy's not going to change.
No.
That's, people can't have this idea in their heads that he's going to suddenly go, do you know what? Let's go near bankruptcy and take a chance. It's just not him.
No.
He won't do it. And ENIC, our owners, are not owners who are going to invest money. So when you see all these stories written about 150 million pound war chests, it's because they're relying on player sales. Mm-hmm. If we sell the players who are surplus, then you'll have the money to spend. But they're not injecting cash. Do I think Levy knows he got it wrong? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and also, I was going to say to Sam as well, the fact that, you touched upon the fact that Conte said that he was impressed by the signings. You almost feel like that's money that he's spent in his mind, on these players, so it's not going to be that massive. No, it's interesting. Stuart Burgess says, can a new manager get a better performance out of the group, or is there still significant squad changes? Funnily enough, Stuart, we just touched on that, so hopefully you feel we've answered it. I genuinely believe a good coach can make an average player look fantastic in the right system, in the right way of going. I think he ain't going to be able to do it overnight, because he's got to assess these players in games and in training. But in his interview, he's already said the first talk with the squad he called a team meeting, and he told the squad, if you listen to me, I will make all of you better. And I believe him. I believe him based on his track record. Yeah. Nick Cook says, as fans, we talk of the Spurs DNA, a style of play. Given how bad a watch it's now been under Nuno and Jose before, how important do you think it is for Conte to produce a Spurs style? For me, I want to see 100% commitment from the players. I think if they do that, then the style will shine through anyway. I agree with that. Massively important. I said when I messaged you guys after the Man United game, I told you that my dad always texts me after we lose a game, and it's always along the lines of, I feel really sorry for you for wasting your money, and it infuriates the fucking hell out of me. I can't, because I'd buy my season ticket fully expecting us not to win 19 games. I mean, even Man City don't win 19 games. They're at home, they're 19 games. So you can't associate spending money on us winning. But at the same time, you kind of want to if we're gonna, we're gonna lose, but you want to kind of see us put a performance in. And that Man United game, there was just no performance, and I didn't see it as a waste of time only because I saw that the legend Ronaldo. That's another tick off my bucket list after seeing Messi in the Champions League. But at the same time, yeah, to see the club's DNA go back into, like, see the way we expect to see Spurs play. No, you don't, like, say, I don't go in and expect us to win every game, but I expect us to put in that Spurs performance that I've known over the years, and that was the polar opposite of what you expect to see going to the stadium. Yeah,
no, I agree. Agreed. Matthew Fleming says, which players do you guys think will improve under Conte and which players will be cast aside? P.S. Hope you're feeling a bit better now, Sam. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I'm doing much better. Still coughing, unfortunately, but I'm trying to edit all that out, so hopefully you won't hear it. But yeah, which players do I think will improve? I mean, we were kind of touching on this already. I genuinely think all of them can. There's not a player there who I don't think at the moment could not improve. If we work on the base level of Nuno's Spurs, Harry Kane is a shambles right now, and so he might improve to the level he has been in the past, and all of us would just be like, well, he's back where he was, but that's still improving from where he is, because damn, he is awful at the moment.
Yeah, completely. And also, like I said, if he does as expected go for that kind of three at the back with the wing backs, and I think you'll see a lot more out of the likes of Royale and Doherty and players like that. I mean, like even I think Højbjerg has always been a really important player for us, but I can really see him being, getting so much more out of him even.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Peter Robinson, Peter, you've written a small essay, my friend. So I'm going to do my best with this. Is anyone sad that there are now very few homegrown players who are likely to be playing regularly in the first team in the future under Conte if some of the potential signings are to be believed? How does this affect UEFA homegrown rule? Firstly, Peter, I think we can address this straight away. Every single transfer story you're reading is nonsense. And I can say that with like 100% hand on heart certainty. And the reason I can say it for twofold. One, it happens every time a club points a new manager. That you get linked left, right and centre with players from their past clubs, this, that and the other. All of it is just journalists filling column inches to try and capitalise on Tottenham fans who are excited about the new manager. And two, Paratici literally said in the press conference yesterday, there's been no discussion about January transfer window because you wouldn't do that yet. He needs to come in, he needs to assess the squad, he needs to work with the players, and then they will have that conversation, which, when you think about it, is obvious.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, he ain't going to be able to go, oh, right, well, I need this and the other, until he's come in and worked with the players. But, yeah, so anything at all like that in a moment, completely rule it out. I can see where you're going with this with regards to the sort of homegrown players and stuff. It kind of goes in cycles. I think if you think back over the team, in the Premier League era anyway, if you think back over the team, we have had situations in the past where we've had a lot of English, like a real core English element to the side, and we've had times where that's faded away. I remember at one point we were full of Croatians, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then Belgians. so it kind of goes in these like cycles, and at the moment we have got a crop of very, very good youngsters at the club who are homegrown players, who are right there ready to supplement the squad. They really are. I mean, there are some fantastic players there. Just off my head, Scarlett, Divine, Markande. They are right there, genuinely. I mean, in the squad already, Skip, Tanganga. So the manager will come in, make all these assessments and everything like that. And how he goes from there, I don't know. But there is so much there that could be the next crop that comes through. Like when Pochettino brought through Townsend, Kane, Carroll, Winks, etc., Mason. Nearly forgot Ryan Mason. Oh, that would have been awful. Peter continues with the state-of-the-art stadium training ground, non-footballing revenue streams coming online now, you know, post the pandemic, and now we have one of the world's absolute top managers. Surely the building blocks are now all there for the club to be and have long-term stable base with money to invest in, build a team. Yeah, in theory, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think that's it. I think we're done. Let me just double check. Oh, hang on. No, see, I was wrong. There is more. Barry Fowles says, Conte's a serial winner, both as a player and a manager. He is what our club needs right now, no doubt. But his personality goes against everything Levy stands for. He will want things done his way. Anyone not go in the same direction as Conte will be dropped, and he will demand from the board to improve. Obviously, you've gone on there, Barry, but you're right. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think sometimes we need to challenge ourselves, and I think Levy appointing him, knowing all of that, is him also kind of not thinking to himself, damn, I always get this wrong, let's try something different. But just sometimes you need friction, you need work, you need a kind of battle people, because that's when you get the best out of yourself, like competition. That's when you get the best.
Also, you've got to factor in Paratici into the equation, haven't you?
And you do. I mean, it's going to be Paratici and Conte, not Levy. I mean, that's kind of a thing all of us as fans need to adjust our mindset. Day-to-day football, it is Paratici. It is definitely him dealing. You know, he's in front of the press, he's doing all the stuff, and behind the scenes, it is him. Don't get me wrong, Levy's still the man with the checkbook, but Paratici's the guy who gets given the budgets and told to get on with it. So, you know, that is a big change in our club that has happened this season, and we're only a part into the season, so it's going to take a while for us to do. Tom Perks, do you guys know why Conte has only signed an 18-month contract? You'll see it more and more now, Tom. Since the pandemic, everyone's of an acceptance that things are a bit different now. It's an 18-month contract, so the rest of this season and next year. My understanding is there is significant bonuses and also options for extensions based on targets. So, for example, there's a 1-year option in the club's favour that they can trigger any time they want. But also there's targets and bonuses built in which would enable them to, again, extend based on targets, beyond that, renegotiate, etc. So I'm not surprised at the 18-month aspect of it. I think you are going to see it more and more across the board.
They've basically just gone the opposite way of phone contracts, whereas phone contracts seem to get longer and longer.
Yeah, I know.
Manchester contracts get shorter and shorter.
Yeah, bloody Vodafone want to lock me in for 3 years now just to have a new phone. I remember when they were literally handing them over hand over fist. Martin Hood says, will the fans get behind the team? I think that's meant to be now. Will the fans now get behind the team? Yeah, I am. Yeah, okay. Yeah, me and Matt are. Don't worry about anybody else.
Very anecdotal, but you know.
When I posted this, I said, due to all the events, we're going to get together early. We ended up not getting together early. But Bernard Moore said, why? Has anything changed this week? Very good, Bernard. And Tom Quinn says, who's next? Now, I'm not quite sure what he was getting at. I don't know whether perhaps he was trying to insinuate where do we go next on the manager merry-go-round, but we've got Conte at the moment, so we don't need to think about what's next. But yeah, that's it. That's for everyone. Thank you very much, everybody. It leaves me with just a few admin things to wrap up before we're done. First of all, manscaped.com sponsoring the show. The wonderful people at manscaped.com, I should say. And they have agreed that next week, in our 150th episode, we can give away a weed whacker.
Awesome.
A weed whacker is it's another word for a nose hair trimmer, basically. But yes, we will be giving one away next week on the show. Our formal deal with them, with all the reads and everything, begins next week, which will be our 150th episode. We're going to do our damnedest to have some fun on that and do lots of different things. Hopefully, we'll have some fun football stuff to talk about as well. But regardless, we're going to have a laugh. But yeah, that's next Thursday, where we will also be announcing our Facebook page competition winner. For YouTube, where we're giving away one of this season's shirt to one lucky fan. We'll do the draw next week. I've got all the numbers, so you get to pick a number at random, and whoever that is gets to win a shirt again.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're good like that. But that's next week. Until then, hope everyone stays safe and well. Hopefully Tottenham win tonight. Come on, you Spurs.
And before you go, mate, it's The Gentleman. Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, the film.
Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman.
There you go, mate.
Noted. I will look it up.
Take care, mate.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.